Welcome, everybody, to episode 46 of the Harsch Review. We are a film and TV podcast. My name is Sean, and with me is my brother, Ryan.
Hey, everybody.
Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm very happy that the Dodgers are going to the World Series, actually.
Yes. I've watched a lot of Dodgers this week, so didn't get a whole lot of time for some movies and TV, but I got a couple things in there.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I mean, being from LA, I'm a big Dodger fan. I've watched, I think, every game this season. And if I missed a game, I would sometimes go back through it, fast forward. It's 162 times it by 3 or 4 hours per game. You can do the math. That's a lot.
Where do you get time to do all the research for this podcast?
I kind of just wing it, as you guys can tell. It's a tough balance. I definitely notice a huge change in my life during baseball season versus the other 6 months. But you got to balance it out with some other things. So sometimes, you can't watch all the games. But very excited. It'll be a busy couple weeks. World Series, Boston. Probably huge ratings going on in that one. That's a legendary matchup there. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I know. So with that being said, we're going to have a little bit of a mellow episode before next week's Halloween-themed episode. So we got a few things to talk about, but we wanted to stay in touch. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Ryan and I, we're brothers. We like movies. We talk about them. That's basically it. So if you enjoy it, make sure you hit subscribe, or you can follow us on any of our social channels at the Harsch Review. And without further ado, let's kick it off. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so what is new this week? Anything catch your eye in the news stories?
I got just a few things. The first thing, and because a lot of the news I'm coming across can be super redundant and same thing.
It's about Marvel's, Star Wars.
Yeah, and Joker. And this one is actually about a comic book character, one of them, Superman. So the CW network. Is that it's Christian White. What does that stand for?
I don't know. Country Western.
There you go. They're considering launching a new Superman TV series. So they're looking at that into getting that back in as soon as possible. Tyler Hoechlin is introduced as the CW Superman back in 2016. I've never heard of this guy. He looks the part. I mean, they usually pick him pretty well. He was introduced in Supergirl Season 2. He was praised for his role. Seems to channel the classic Christopher Reeve like no other has seen before. So CW is treating this as something they want to start up. With all the comic book stuff, they're going to jump in there and put some more stuff out there. So, Yeah, what do you think?
I've seen screenshots, I've seen things like that, but I don't know what it is. I just have a hard time watching anything on CW.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm not a teenage girl, but I don't know.
That must be it.
I think that's it.
Yeah. It's it seems a little like very safe, not trying to offend anybody, keep it no violence. I mean, Superman isn't like technically like a violent story, but you want a little grit sometimes, and you're not really going to get that with this network. It's more of a family-oriented thing. So,
sure.
I probably won't be checking it out, but those of you who listen and like Superman, that's coming.
Yeah. There we go.
That's it. So, anything else to add to that?
What a bummer.
I know. Sorry. We talked last week about Haunting of Hill House. And it's one of our higher rated episodes in a couple months, so we're getting pretty good response to that.
Yeah, we're flirting with that crime drama, genre.
Yes,
that's what we got to talk about to boost the ratings.
Yeah, it's whatever we have to do to make it happen. But
so hopefully, Paranormal is a close second.
Mm-hmm. Great show, but we have some fans. I reported last week on Hereditary star getting some PTSD. Now we have the viewers having some kind of a response to this. So fans are complaining about having anxiety attacks, losing sleep, and even vomiting over certain episodes. I don't see how that's possible because none of those things happen to me, but I'm not perfect either. But there's some people on Twitter saying, I'll just read a couple of them. Shout out to my body, my anxiety, and my recent binging of The Haunting of Hill House for waking me up at exactly 3 a.m. last night. I'm now a whopping 7 minutes into The Haunting of Hill House per pre-opening credits and already yelped. If it's 10 episodes of jump scares, then I'll die from anxiety. Haunting of Hill House is making me terror, vomit, and joyful confusion, so I love it. Me and my mom are watching The Haunting of Hill House and something is slammed in my kitchen. We thought someone came in the house. So if I die, this show did it. I could throw up right now. This is just unacceptable. It goes on, goodness. Sean. Yeah.
People.
So, yeah. One more. The Haunting of Hill House has me fucked up on multiple levels. Period. New sentence. My anxiety has been progressively peaking since I started watching this show. That's fucking impressive. This is officially the best horror series I've seen so far. Yeah, it's up there. Got a lot more, but I'm not going to read them all. But yeah, I mean, some people just take stuff way too far. It's only a show, but I could see how. I mean, going back, I'd have to see it again because there's a lot of stuff saying there's like a lot of extra stuff in there, like ghosts that I didn't really catch on the first viewing, but I caught some of them.
There's all kinds of stuff in the background.
Yeah, so I wouldn't mind watching it again, but if it keeps me up all night, then no, thank you.
That's fair.
Yeah, right. And then on the same note for the show, horror master of horror, Mr. Stephen King, he's come in and delivered some high praise, which is like getting some sort of a blessing from the Pope in this industry, in this particular genre as well. King tweeted, "The Haunting of Hill House, revised and remodeled by Mike Flanagan. I don't usually care for this kind of revisionism, but this is great. Close to a work of genius, really. I think Shirley Jackson, source author, would approve, but who knows for sure." And this made the creator, Mr. Mike Flanagan, very excited. Couldn't keep his enthusiasm, so, good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have any of those side effects. I don't know about you. I seem to manage it okay.
Yeah, I did fine.
So we'll be all right.
Yeah. That's all I got.
All right. Well, that was exciting.
Yeah, thank you. I do my best.
Nothing really too heavy for me over here. The movie that Ryan Gosling came out, First Man?
It's about Neil Armstrong, correct?
Yeah, I really wanted to see this and still would like to, but it did not favor too well at the box office. Had like a poor showing, unfortunately. Did about $16 million, and Universal's very confident, and they say, quote, "Audiences, critics, and award pundits will be talking about First Man for months, well into the new year. We anticipate First Man to have a very long, successful run at the domestic box office, which it certainly deserves." So it doesn't necessarily mean the movie is bad, and by any means, I have not seen it. The movie, it was directed by, that one guy. He's pretty young. He did La La Land with Gosling, and
that one guy.
Yeah, he won for La La Land. He's very young. He's like 32. Damien Chazelle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was born in 1985. He's obviously killing it. He did Whiplash. He is a writer for Whiplash.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, First Man, La La Land, Guy and Madeline on a park bench. But anyways, so it's a little bit of a departure from his normal style because he's very musical focused kind of director. And yeah, Universal's a little bummed. They say that it's going up against some tough things over the next few weeks, so it's going to be hard for it to kind of bounce back from this. Maybe it's just about timing, and I don't know. Little concerning for Gosling since he's been a huge draw. So maybe there's just something about this movie that just didn't capture people with the marketing. But I still want to check it out. Yeah,
it seems like an odd time. I mean, I think they're releasing it around this time just because of the Oscars, but it seems like a lot of people are going to the movies these days to get scared, or they're going to see Oscar-winning movies. Probably more so the scary
movie. It is a weird October movie. Yeah.
Yeah, you usually see a movie like this released earlier in the year, but I guess they want to push that Oscar thing, so they release all these movies. Usually, generally this time to up to early January, we'll see movies like this being released. But it's interesting. I wonder if it talks about the moon landing conspiracy at all.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Anyone?
Yeah, okay. I know.
Is this thing on?
You can blame Kubrick for that.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Yeah, I'd like to see it too, but
so maybe we'll get back to that one. We'll see, but
okay,
didn't kill it. If you guys saw it out there, head over to our Facebook group chat. Tell us. We want to know if anybody saw it and if you liked it. Moving on to scary, Conjuring 3. There's it's currently still in talks and development, but the first two were based off of case files from the Warrens, that couple that deals with all the scary stuff. So the third one is rumored to be more of a murder trial based off of a man who claims that he was possessed by a demon. So we're not really quite sure if this is from their case files or if it's pure fiction, but that's kind of what the focus of this story is so far today, or at least with the news that we have. Don't know, but I'd be looking forward to that. I think it'd be kind of something different.
I like the last two.
Well, they came out strong with the first two, so I don't know how deep the Warrens' case studies go, but we'll see.
Well, I know, like at the end of the first one, they were saying it like a little teaser of Amityville Horror, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And then they never got into that, so I would have liked to see that. The second one was cool, but I would have liked to see that Amityville Horror, because that's interesting to me. But I do know that Amityville Horror with that guy, he claimed he was possessed by something.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
So a couple other things here for you. Marvel movie timeline, or the Disney timeline, so to speak, has been updated. Because Disney's kind of provided us this roadmap of going, here's what the next 3 years look like. And 2 movies were bumped from 2019 to 2020. So big disappointment for a lot of people. The internet's freaking out. Right now, those movies are The Jungle Cruise, which is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's Disney-themed movie off of the ride. So that one's been bumped from 2019 to 2020.
You kidding
me? Also Death of the Nile, which is the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, come on.
I know. That one got bumped as well, and who knows what's going on. So right now, 2020 is still looking to be a pretty stacked year for Disney. Just to give you, I'm going to pound through this real quick, but here's all the placeholders of what they're delivering. This is 2020. February 14th, Untitled Disney live action. March 6th, Untitled Pixar. March 27th, Mulan, which I believe is a live action version of Mulan. May 1st, Untitled Marvel. May 29th, Maleficent 2. June 19th, Untitled Pixar. July 24th, Jungle Cruise. October 9th, Untitled Disney live action. November 6th, Untitled Marvel. November 25th, Untitled Disney animation. And December 23rd, Untitled Disney live action. So
they could come up with a title. I mean, they'd not be very original there.
So January, April, August, September are the only months that don't have some kind of new thing from Disney for 2020. So the year is going to be super stacked. We'll see. I mean, keep in mind that like Guardians of the Galaxy would be one of the Untitled Disneys or Untitled Marvel. You're looking at like possibly Suicide Squad, Captain Marvel's, maybe another Avengers. You're looking at a Spider-Man, Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2. So there's a lot of those that would fit in to those templates. But right now they lock those dates in, those release dates. They have those placeholders. So now it's just got a little more crowded with Jungle Cruise in the mix.
Go Disney.
Go Disney.
All right.
And finally, I want to talk real quick on all these shows that have been canceled in 2018. So a lot of people were bummed out that Luke Cage and Iron Fist on Netflix were canceled. So if you're looking forward to us, I haven't seen Iron Fist. Have you?
No, I've been meaning to get into it, and then everyone's saying, yeah, the first season really sucks, and it's hard for me these days to sit through something that sucks.
Just hang in there,
amount
bro.
Of time. Yeah, it's like it gets better. Like when?
Yeah,
I have a limited amount of time these days, and it's just these days my attention. I mean, I used to be really patient with stuff, and now if it doesn't pick up at some point, I'm just gonna
call it.
It'll be on my list. I'll get back to it, but I never do.
Yeah, I mean, aside from those, Orange is the New Black. That one got canceled as well.
It's only so far you can go with that premise, though.
Sure. Mr. Robot, the 4th season is going to be its last.
That was already determined, right? That was
as far as I know, but maybe the main actor wants to go in a different direction now that he's playing Freddie Mercury in the upcoming Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
Get too big for his britches.
Yeah, I know. I'm just me speculating. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So Amazon has canceled quite a few. The Jean-Claude Van Johnson, I Love Dick, Kevin Bacon, One Mississippi, Mozart in the Jungle. That one's done. Transparent is done. AMC's gone. Yeah, AMC's went through with the axe. They killed the mayor. Once Upon a Time. The Crossing.
Never heard of half these shows.
Quantico, Marvel's Inhumans, 10 Days in the Valley, Alex Incorporated.
Never heard of it.
Designated Survivor with Kiefer, Deception, don't know that one. Roseanne was killed, CBS killed, Living Biblically. Superior Donuts. Take a guess.
Superior Donuts.
Yeah, Superior Donuts. Me, Myself, and I. Yeah, obviously Big Bang is going away, thank God.
Yay!
Scorpion, Kevin Can Wait, which is a Kevin James and Miss Scientology. Their show just didn't quite take off as another one. King of Queens Part 2, I guess.
Kevin can't wait because he's getting canceled.
Yes.
Ouch.
Fox went through with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Mick, The Last Man on Earth, The Exorcist, Lucifer, Ghosted. HBO chopped off Here and Now. Hulu killed Chance, which only lasted 2 seasons, which I liked the first season. I haven't seen the second.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
They killed The Path with Jesse Pinkman. So that's only going to last 3 seasons.
Cult movie or cult show.
NBC killed Shades of Blue, just like Jennifer Lopez, I'm a cop in Brooklyn kind of thing.
Yeah, that's real believable.
They finally killed Jerry Springer after 27 seasons.
Ouch.
I know. Timeless, that one's gone. Rise is gone. Don't know about it. Great News, The Brave. Taken, the NBC series based off of William Neeson's movies. Netflix, Lady Dynamite. Disjointed, Everything Sucks, 7 Seconds. The Break, the Joel McHale show with Joel McHale. That show was terrible. Obviously, Orange. I almost said Orange Fist. Iron Fist. Orange is the New Black. All about Washington.
All about Washington.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a picture of a guy in a bathtub with bubbles holding a cell phone.
Yeah, that's why I got canceled.
Colony.
No one's watching that.
Colony on USA Network with Sawyer from Lost. Mr. Robot with Mr. Eyes.
Yeah.
Shooter, TV show based off of Mark Wahlberg's movie. And finally, we're going to close out with Librarians, Versailles, Ash versus Evil Dead, killed after 3 seasons on Starz.
That sucks. I love that show.
Yeah. Broad City, The Expanse, 3 seasons on Sci-Fi Network. Shadowhunters, Famous in Love, Homeland's coming up, The Royals. The list just continues to do. So many things are getting killed.
Let's have a moment of silence for all the shows that have been axed. Okay.
That was
so what's going on here?
I don't know. I think a lot of these were network shows, so they're probably having a hard time competing with the digital distribution because there's not as many on the digital side that are getting killed. So my speculation is the leash is much shorter if you're not performing, and you got to kind of call it and move on. So that's all I can really.
I
speculate
blame.
with that.
I'm going to do what everybody else does and blame Solo.
Yeah, I'm gonna blame Solo.
Solo made this happen.
That's all I have to say about that.
Well, get them French fried potatoes with some mustard.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
You work for Jerry Cox's outfit. Hey, you want to hear a joke? Two guys standing on a bridge making water. I think one of them was from California.
Stupid.
Anyway.
What are you thinking about, Ryan?
I'm thinking about when I'm getting some mustard on them biscuits.
No, he's all, thinking about eating some of them French fried potatoes. Oh, Billy.
I reckon I'm going to put this lawnmower blade through your skull.
Such a good movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah. So that's kind of all I got.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's like depressing and more depressing.
Well, we figured we'd stay with the dark and scary theme for October.
Yeah.
And there you go. Wanted to bum everybody out. So if you guys want to pause this podcast and then come back later, we totally get it.
Yeah. We don't want to give anybody anxiety attacks or keep anybody up till 3 a.m. like some other shows do.
No.
Hey, nope. You did that, Jesse. That's a good boy.
We're just going to sit here and make each other laugh the whole time. And like, wow,
the
listeners really dropped off around 18 minutes.
Yeah, what happened? We're going to do the rest of the show talking like this, I think.
So I want to know what movies you've been watching this week.
Well, Sean, I've been watching Making a Murderer.
Is that about that
Making a
Stevie
Murderer.
Avery boy?
Her and his Brendan Dassey. That boy looked like Paul Dano in Prisoners. He got all fat. He got all fat. Now he looks like Paul Dano in that movie about the Beach Boys.
Brendan, what's his name?
Brendan Dassey.
Brendan Dassey. So did you actually watch all 10 episodes or what? Catch me up here.
Well, I went back and watched season 1 because last week I talked about how I have getting older and just kind of like so much stuff going on that you kind of forget some of the details. So I went back and watched season 1. And then I'm almost done with season 2. And season 2 is just like at first, the first time I saw this show, I was like, yeah, this guy might be innocent. And now I'm just tired of him and just kind of like thinking he probably did it. And then he probably like seriously coerced the Brendan Dassey, his nephew, into assisting him with it. Which is really like just crazy, and so in season 2, like they're really milking it, obviously, trying to get him out on these technicalities. He's got some new hotshot female lawyer who's making all these headlines. She's had a lot of these cases overturned, so he's hoping this is a surefire winner. And then they're simultaneously like they're trying to get the other kid out who, like I said, he really ballooned up in prison.
He's a big boy now.
He's a big boy. He got himself a big head. You might want to take it easy on them French fried potatoes.
Yeah, well,
yeah, but and then it gets into other stuff too. Like Stephen Avery apparently he's been getting all these love letters like every week. End of season 1, he was hooking up with some girl that just started writing him letters, and then she kind of bailed on him, and then some other woman was supposed to marry him without even having really met him. And then she goes on Dr. Phil and then changes her mind. It says, well, this guy might have some problems. I said, yeah, the guy is in jail and he's there for a reason. So he might have a few problems besides the fact that he's in jail.
I've never understood why women pursue men that are in jail. Like what the deal is with that.
Yeah. Well, we were kind of young when this happened, but I do recall reading about it. Like Ted Bundy, who, not a bad looking fella, but he got quite a bit of love, attention when he was in jail. A lot of love letters and people wanting to marry him. Yeah, but it's something going on. Maybe they want to save him, or I know Manson. He got married before he passed on, which is odd. But yeah, something really going on there. So season 2 of this show, it gets really technical in terms of the forensics, and they're kind of recreating a lot of the evidence that was looked at in season 1. You have the DA coming back and inserting himself again and going around on talk shows talking about how he's got his flow charts and all this shit. And he's like, yeah, he did it. And everyone's like, but you're so are you still associated with this case? And he's like, no, I'm not. But it's like he's going around talking about it, trying to save his work. So, and then you have the parents and it's just kind of like really sad at this point. It's really affected everybody else in his life. And then it's just a constant like, well, I don't know who did it. Someone did it to me, and I don't know. They want me to go away for a long time, and it's that's like the voice. It keeps reminding me of Fargo.
Like Fargo, right?
That's the kind of the whole thing's reminding me. Stephen Avery's mom reminds me a lot of Mrs. Lundegaard in Fargo, Bill Macy's wife. Yeah. The way she talks about you that you in there with that attitude, you're not going to get anywhere, young man. You watch that language there. So, it's just, I think I'm like 6 or 7 in. I don't know if I'm going to finish it. It's just really like, if the guy got out and he got exonerated, we would have heard about it by now. So it's kind of like, it's not going to end well for either one of these guys.
Sure, I understand.
It's entertaining. It's interesting to see like the legal system and just how they keep trying to get Brendan out, and then it's like, oh no, somebody objected to it, and then they have to do this, and you have 15 days to do that. So it's really like just kind of really makes your head hurt after a while, to be honest with you.
So a few questions.
Yeah.
Now the two gals that are making this, do you feel that they're just doing this because of the just for the press?
That's a tough call, because to me the thing about this show is it's very one-sided. You're not getting a lot of attention, and maybe, rightly so, but on the victim and the victim's family. So it seems like after a while, they might be doing it for the press because they're showing on the show they're depicting all the attention this program is getting, and then one of the people who, quote unquote, fell in love with Stephen Avery says, "Well, I had a dream that I would be on this show and I would fall in love with Stephen and all this stuff." So it's like a lot of what you're seeing is people who are hungry for attention. And that, they live in a part of the country where people don't talk about enough or really acknowledge that much. So now it's like all of a sudden all this attention's on them and they're just eating it up, So, maybe the producers, the filmmakers get caught up in that maelstrom too and just kind of milking this for whatever it is. I didn't really see a need for a second season, but it is interesting. All this stuff's coming back up again. Stephen will be in jail for life, like with no possibility of parole. And Brendan, I believe, will be in jail. His parole comes up when he'll be about 58. So, really a long time. And the crime is just horrible. The more they talk about it, the more sickened you kind of get at these people. And it's who else would have done it?
Sure.
All fingers point to them. They keep going back over how Brendan, and I feel bad for him because he's, mentally challenged. It seems like in his interrogation, they really kind of took advantage of that. But it's like he is capable of making choices. And, in this case, if he did do it, he made the wrong choice.
Yeah. So that's the other part that everybody kind of looks over, is that somebody was killed and now they can't grieve and move on because of this stupid show. Right. And these trashy people who did or did not do it, take away the entertainment aspect of this and it being televised. This doesn't seem like the kind of case that would get this much attention.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The first season was great. It was very interesting, but then it started flattening out after a while, and you kind of felt like they were just really milking it. So when the second one came around, I'm going, is there really anything new to talk about here? Like, do you really feel like there's anything new and compelling, or is it just more logistics and administrative stuff, like stringing viewers along?
That's kind of what it seems like now. It's like they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel and getting super technical. I'm sure it would be interesting to people who are really into that aspect, like forensics and stuff. I have a mild curiosity, but there's a point where I'm just like, all right, guys, come on. Like, we're getting a little too technical here with everything.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So
All
that's
right.
my review. Don't you know?
Don't you know?
Oh, don't you know?
Okay, well.
And that's kind of like where my, besides the Dodgers this week, that's kind of what I was watching most of the week. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Making a Murderer. Anything else you want to talk about?
I did watch Joe Rogan's special.
Oh, okay, great. Is the latest one that came out.
Yeah, it's called Joe Rogan Strange Times. And
I saw him on this tour, didn't you as well?
Yes, I did. So I recognized a lot of the bits. It's just cool to see. I really like him. I'm a huge fan of his podcast since like way back in the day. He's a guy that doesn't, you just kind of look at him and he's a total meathead. But he's very intelligent. He says a lot of thought-provoking things. So it's not only like funny, it's great social commentary also. But it is hilarious. And the cool thing is with Joe is like a lot of this stuff you'll see in the special, he's not even doing anymore. He's one of these guys who constantly kind of rewrites stuff for the next tour. So very creative individual.
Where did he film this one at?
You know what? I think it was in Boston. I think it's called the Wilbur Theater. I think it's in Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you feel that the version you saw did justice to when you saw him on tour? Was there new content you didn't see?
Not really. No. I mean, it's pretty much what I saw, and I saw him last December, I believe, and this is just coming out now. So like I said, he's probably doing brand new stuff, which is good to stay topical.
Sure.
Because there's comedians that just do the same bits for years. Not too many. Well, there are a lot, but guys who constantly looking at their stuff, either revamping it or throwing it out and doing new stuff.
Yeah, that's the challenge of being a comedian is you got to stay relevant, but then you can also get pigeonholed. Like Jim Gaffigan's the Hot Pocket guy, and he'll always be known as that. Clean humor. Yeah, he's funny. He had his moment, but then when I watched his other kind of stuff, you kind of go, yeah, your subject content is not as relevant or funny. It's kind of tough. You got to be a little bit edgier, I think, unless you're like a Seinfeld that really kind of captures a very specific type of comedy.
Seinfeld?
It's not easy.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
What's
the deal with
What's the deal? Who are these people?
Yeah, you've been practicing.
Why do they call it Ovaltine? The cup is round. The mug is round. Why don't they call it a round teen?
Yeah, I know. His humor, though, is like exhausting after a while. You're like, oh,
it is.
Okay, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, let's move
That's
on.
all I have. All right.
So,
go ahead, Sean.
I watched The Defiant Ones finally on HBO.
Oh, yeah.
It was four episodes. I don't like how they label things season 1. I think it's just like the logistics of however they upload content, but it's not a season. It's just a series, or I don't know. When it says season 1, it leads you to believe there's a season 2.
20 minutes of that program.
Of The Defiant Ones?
Yeah, Jimmy Iovine, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of annoying. I mean, I know he did a lot of cool stuff. And then Tyrese Gibson, when he started crip walking and doing all that stuff, I was like, all right, dude, I can't do this.
Well, all right. So
maybe it was like, I think I was starting to watch it late at night.
Persevere. It's good. And
okay.
Jimmy Iovine is pretty polarizing because he's kind of just like an Italian bulldog that, clearly became one of the most powerful folks involved with music, and it gets a lot better because it does start off, it flips between Dr. Dre's story and his story that eventually lead to them coming together. So the whole thing starts off with him talking about how big of a deal it was that Apple acquired Beats by Dre for like $3.2 billion, And then it quickly flips back to the starting point of Dr. Dre's career, his childhood, and then toggles between Jimmy Iovine's career, his childhood, and how they grew up together, and how lucky he has been, or fortunate, just because he was persistent, where he was working at a recording studio and sweeping and just like learning basic engineering from the people that were there, but then got a call to come in on Easter Sunday, and nobody else would go, and so eventually he went, and that was when John Lennon was in the studio recording. So he ended up just by chance, because the other engineer wouldn't come into work on Easter Sunday, and they couldn't say why. He ended up engineering for Lennon, and that kind of started his career as an audio engineer. And then he went on.
Cool stuff with Springsteen too.
Yeah, he went on to do the Springsteen album, and then he went on to what's the other gal's name that sang the Springsteen song that he took from her?
That'd be Patti Smith.
Yeah,
Because the Night. Yeah, good song.
So he took Springsteen's song Because the Night that Springsteen wasn't going to use, and then had Patti Smith do it, and then that became a huge hit. It was a top 10 single where Springsteen didn't have one at the time. And then he went on to work with Tom Petty while he was started dating Stevie Nicks and living with her, and then was able to get those two to collaborate so that she could have a single after leaving Fleetwood Mac, and then so forth and so forth. He just went on and eventually just kind of stopped doing music engineering and shifted into business. And then at some point, him and Dre, he let Dre, he brought Dre on to do Aftermath Records on Interscope or Geffen. And then that's when Dre started, and kind of they discovered Eminem and blah, blah, blah. Then eventually they kind of continued to collaborate together. And it's that whole story. I know Matt from NFHC podcast was talking about how good it was. And I'm pretty sure that's the one he was talking about. There may have been another one, but I'm pretty sure that was it.
I'll give it another shot. Is Eazy-E in it?
He is. Yeah, quite a bit early on.
I love Eazy-E.
It's really good because you see a lot of the behind-the-scenes footage of how Dre had to take Eazy-E, who was not a rapper or a musician, and had to feed him every single line by line, so he would rap it. And you get to see a lot of that, and then you see people like losing their patience because Dre knew Eazy had it, but he didn't have anything natural. It didn't come natural to him. So
there's a really good book I recently read called Original Gangsters, and it has a lot of that in there too, which is kind of interesting to me. Just a lot of that stuff with their early days of NWA and Eazy-E and all that. So
it goes through all that stuff. So a lot more that you get from watching Straight Outta Compton, which was another good movie that Dre was involved in. You get a lot of their backstory there, but this gives you actual footage and all that kind of stuff. So it started off, I would say that, the first 20 or 30 minutes, it comes in super hot with this whole story. Then it does show Tyrese being a dumbass, spoiling the deal that Dre made with Apple on Facebook Live and all this kinds of stuff when they're all drunk at 3 a.m.
Nice.
But it turns around. I think you'll really dig it once you get through it.
Okay.
Yeah, so give that one a go.
Okay. All right.
And then I started watching a show about almost done with it. It's called Forever on Amazon. Have you heard of this one?
I have not.
So it's a tough one to talk about because it's got a huge hook to it that I don't want to. I'll just be very careful as I talk about the show. But basically, it's only about 8 seasons. They're about half an hour each, so you can really crank through this thing in the same amount of time it might take you to watch like a Lord of the Rings extended version. Stars Maya Rudolph, Fred Armisen, Catherine Keener is in this, and the premise is that they're like been married for a long time, and their life is kind of like mundane and boring. And then various events happen that kind of change everything. So it's one of those shows to where you really don't know what it's about until you've finished watching the first 2 episodes. Then you kind of go like, I get it. This is what this is about. And then it becomes like a whole different show. So it's a very...
In a good way?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's very creative in a sense. It's not like Portlandia type of humor. It's very kind of dark, sad, depressing kind of humor. So if you like that kind of stuff, it's pretty funny. It's worth watching the first 2 episodes, and then you're probably going to go, yeah, I'm going to keep watching. But if you go, nope, this is stupid, then you can call it, and you really didn't lose much more than 45 minutes of your life. But it's worth checking out if you're looking for something that is new, fresh, and you like kind of like dark humor a little bit. Forever on Amazon Prime.
Forever.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's not amazing. I haven't finished it, so I don't know where it's going to wind up, but didn't see the progression at all. It was one of the more surprising developments of a story for a short series. I don't know if it's going to continue or not, but it's got a lot of potential.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out. Forever.
All right.
Okay. Well, let's wrap up what we've been talking about, what the news is, and this and that. Let's spend a little bit of time talking about a movie that I think it was last week we mentioned. So I went around and saw Hold the Dock on Netflix. Came out a couple weeks ago. I know we talked about it for maybe 5 minutes. We were making fun of Jeffrey Wright and his glasses. And
he's fidgeting.
He's fidgeting, yeah. So I went back and saw this movie. Because you had me interested when you said it doesn't go the way you think. So this is on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, I would really recommend it. I think it's very promising to see that Netflix is going to put something like this out. So to kind of establish it a little bit, the premise, according to IMDb, is after the deaths of 3 children suspected to be killed by wolves, writer Russell Core is hired by the parents of a missing 6-year-old boy to track down and locate their son in the Alaskan wilderness. That's the premise. That is not what the movie is about.
No.
So we're I'm gonna say it's fair to say that let's just talk about spoilers and everything on this one. Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie, it's on Netflix. Came out September 28th. Pause the episode now, watch it, come back to episode 46, join in on the discussion. Let's give you a moment. Let's give you a moment to hit pause so you can pull your phone out of your pocket or whatever it is you're doing, and go. Okay, we're back.
Are they gone?
Have they left yet?
We
lost everybody at 18 minutes and at 32 minutes.
Dave's not here.
Yeah, Dave's not here, man.
So what did you think about... I got to ask you this question. The character introduction for, what's his name? Is it Alexander?
Yeah, Alexander Skarsgård.
What do you think about his character introduction in this movie?
This dude is like ice cold blood in his veins. Yeah, it's
the first time we meet him. He's in Afghanistan. And he goes. He's kind of walking around and he sees. I'll just spoil it. That's okay, right? We can do that.
That's what we just established. Yes.
All right, we're good. All right. So he sees one of his comrades pretty much raping one of the local girls. So he just sneaks in there, stabs the shit out of this guy, and then walks away. So it's like,
let's set it up a little bit better. So
all right.
Just going back real quick. You don't get introduced to him right away. You get introduced to Jeffrey Wright's Way into Wolves, and he gets a letter from the lady in Alaska, and she read his book and thought that he could help her track down the wolves that took her kid. So he travels to this weird podunk town out in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, that's kind of got a blend of your typical white Alaskan locals with Native Americans and or Inuit based folks. And so while he's there, he finds out that her husband's away from war. Cut to the scene Ryan's talking about, and he's kind of riding in this truck, and they're in this tank or whatever, and like a Humvee with a huge gun on top. And they see some truck flip. Guy gets out. He's on top of this huge gun, and 50 cal, and he just like decimates the whole crew. No problem at all. And then the next scene, it just kind of shows him walking through some Iraqi town as the camera follows him. It's kind of like an all one take kind of thing. And he hears a woman screaming. He's sitting there smoking a cigarette. And he looks in the window, and sees what Ryan mentioned is another army guy's raping a local woman. So he just sets his cigarette down on the windowsill.
Yeah.
Walks in the room, pushes aside like the blanket doors, grabs his knife. It's one of those huge First Blood Rambo knives that he like puts in his teeth when he jumps into the river.
Now, that's a knife.
Yeah. And so the guy doesn't know he comes up, and he just pulls up the guy's left hand like above his head, and then does about 4 or 5 stabs into the side of his rib cage.
Oh, yeah.
And like a bop, 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 bop.
Right, the old bread basket.
Falls on the ground. He hands the knife to the woman, and then he leaves. And then you hear in the background of her going and finishing the job on the guy. And then he walks back out, grabs his cigarette, and just continues strolling along like nothing, no big deal. But then he gets shot with a bullet in the side of his neck quickly afterwards because he's just he's in a war zone. And
he took that part pretty well.
Yeah, that cuts to him going, "Hey, you got a ticket home." So that's how his character comes back around to meet, go back home to where Jeffrey Wright's in his little shack with this mother that's grieving the loss of her kid. And this is like the second or third kid that's been taken by wolves in this town. A friend of theirs was another one that lost a child. So I think this is her first kid or second kid. I don't know.
Second, maybe, I think.
Second, yeah. And then somebody else lost one. So it's the third kid. And he's really going out of just fascination of the wolves, but he's not sure he's going to kill anything.
Play with his glasses half the time.
Yeah, so he's sleeping on the couch. What did you think of her bath time ritual there?
Yeah. What was she doing?
That's when you first kind of get insight into like, oh, this movie's not what I thought it was.
She was kind of like talking to herself, and right?
She's talking to herself, and she's wearing like this wooden wolf mask.
Yeah.
So he's like staying at her house, sleeping on the couch, and then she walks out totally nude, wearing like this weird carved wooden wolf mask, and then goes and like lays down next to him, and then puts his hand on her throat and is like strangling her. And he's like, what the hell is going on with this woman?
Yeah.
But she's clearly grieving or trying to punish herself or something, as is later perceived.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was pretty weird.
Yeah, but that's you're right. That's the moment where you're like, okay, like this movie's going in another direction. That's kind of what I like about it, because it's like, it's nothing to do with the synopsis, like you said. And then it just gets really kind of out there from there. And I think that's great. Loved it.
Yeah. So after that, he kind of goes out exploring to try to find the wolves. He finds the wolves, right? And they're like eating their own or something because they're starving. He slips and falls. All the wolves hear him. They come running over. Then they have like a stand down, like him and like 8 wolves. And he's got his gun. And they're probably like 20 feet away from each other. He's got the alpha right on the sights. He doesn't want to kill him. And then they just kind of piss off. So
piss off.
He found them, and he's kind of like, I don't think these are the wolves that did it, because if the wolves were eating their own young, then they're not the kind that are going to come and take your kid.
But it's also some good foreshadowing there, too.
Yeah. So when he goes back to the house and she's not there, right, that's when the plot kicks into a whole nother gear.
Right.
And, he is looking around for her, goes down in the basement and finds her kid wrapped up in plastic, like frozen. He's dead.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how she killed him, but that's clearly what the case is. And he loses his shit, goes running out screaming, I found the kid,
Yeah, just yelling and
he's not
really overreacting.
He's not handling it well.
He's not cut out for this kind of work,
This isn't what he signed up for.
No, definitely not. He's just a writer. Come on.
Yeah, he's just a writer, guys. And so after that whole thing, and that's when you get introduced to the police, to the local police, and then the sheriff. And he's at the police station, and that's where he first meets the dad in the police station. And the dad's there with his friend who had lost another, a local native who had lost one of his kids to wolves. And then they're out in the parking lot saying their goodbyes, and then that's when the plot kicks into a whole nother gear. right? Remember what happened?
So Jeffrey Wright and the psychopath, like he shakes his hand, so very noble gesture, and then he leaves, and then shortly after he leaves, he just freaking shoots everybody.
Yeah, like the local cops were like, hey, we know where your wife is at. We saw her truck over here. We didn't tell you in front of the sheriff because we want you to go handle your own business. So there's a lot of like local favors. And he goes, thanks, pulls out a gun and point blanks the two cops that stayed behind in the head, goes and gets his kid out of the morgue, buries his kid, and then
gets the file on his wife so she knows where she's going.
Yep. And then he's off on like a manhunt to go kill her.
Right.
Or get revenge. And basically anybody that comes in his path is dead. He is like he is a psychopath in this film.
He's great though, man. Like the way he looks the whole time. It's just like, this guy is out there, dude.
I didn't quite understand some of that. Did you pick up like why he's this crazy?
I think it's just like, I think it kind of a commentary on combat, and what our guys go through in terms of creating like some kind of mental instability. Definitely like he's nihilistic, so it's like he just doesn't care anymore. But yeah, I mean, and I think a little bit has to do with just living in this environment. Going from one hostile, coming from one hostile environment, which is Alaska, going into another, and then coming back into the same hostile environment. It's like your life is nothing but, death and violence, and you just start not believing in anything anymore. And it's just kind of like your body kicks into survival mode and you become a psychopath, just in terms of what everybody else would think. And so, I mean, that's kind of what I took from it. It's maybe just more of a commentary on combat and these guys coming back and not getting the care they need. And then that's the most extreme example of what happens. The cops are kind of looking for him, but they also come upon his friend. And what happens in that scene? That was pretty crazy.
Oh, the standoff?
Yeah. So they go to this guy's house, and then the sheriff's like, do you know where this guy is? And then, they're trying to handle it pretty civilly. And then we have a standoff, which goes on for a long time.
Yeah, it's like a scene from Rambo, where this guy's posted up in the house with this huge Gatling gun, and all the sheriffs are outside because they know that he killed two of the sheriffs, and this guy just starts to ice everybody out in front of his house with this gun.
Yeah,
very, very brutal, and the local police were obviously not prepared for this.
No.
So it is kind of an interesting thing, and only like the sheriff and Jeffrey Wright's character survive. There's a couple others that kind of make it. They're all hurt because eventually the guy gets killed. But it's weird because the psychopath, he goes and he gets his wolf mask, and he wears this thing around when he kills people. So it's like some crazy looking wooden carved wolf face.
He gets the mask from a native, right?
Yeah, he gets another one because his wife had one. So she had hers, and it's gone. And then he goes and gets another one from a local guy, kills them.
And his name is Vernon.
Vernon, yes.
Yeah, another reason to be really upset the world.
Well,
named Vernon.
Now, I was reading into this plot a little bit, and a lot of places are talking about how his wife is actually his sister, and they're twins. So they have like this incestual relationship, which I didn't really ever pick up on watching it. Maybe I missed that somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, they do get together later on, right? So you don't really see any kind of intimacy there, but it's possible. Yeah, I don't know.
And so
it's kind of nice as those layers to it, though.
But yeah, so he's kind of like basically when he's like wearing the wolf mask, it's he's seeking revenge, or he's on a journey and he's not going to let anybody get in his way. So everyone that helps him and stuff as he's like searching for his wife, he will kill. And so what I thought was kind of crazy is when Jeffrey Wright knows where like, hey, I think I know where they're going to that hot springs place, whatever. Let's go and check out. So him and the sheriff jump in that plane, and they go out to out into the wilderness to where they saw the hot springs.
Mm-hmm.
And Russell and the sheriff go out there, and they're sitting there walking around. He's like, oh, I thought I saw something. And then you look up in the distance, and he's like, wolf mask Psycho is standing up on a cliff with a, big what's the kind of name of that? Like not a compact bow or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know much about
compound
archery,
maybe,
so.
and
Okay.
you just hear like this, and the arrow goes right through the dude's neck.
Yeah.
And he's like standing way the hell up there, and you see him like, and then he just kind of retreats. That was pretty cool seeing how they did that scene of the sheriff. But it's kind of feel bad because you don't want that guy to die. You're like, oh, that's a bummer. This is like one of the only good people in this.
Yeah, and he had like a kid come in, and so that was depressing,
Yeah, so Russell goes into the cave, finds the wife, and he's got the gun. He's like, we got to get out of here. He's coming to kill you. And lo and behold, Wolfman enters the cave and puts an arrow through his chest.
Yeah.
So he hits the deck, and then they're sitting there making out and doing their things. Then they pack up ready to go.
And he like strangles her pretty much.
Yeah, he kind of
Did you
does,
pick
but he
up on
doesn't
that?
kill her.
Yeah, but it was just kind of like that like psychosexual like tension going on, and then so that was interesting.
Yeah, it was a bit weird because you didn't know if he is going to kill her, but then they're kind of like, I forgive you, I understand, or something.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. It's just really strange.
Yeah, totally.
But then he does this like gesture where he takes off the arrowhead and pulls the arrow out of the guy's chest and just kind of leaves him there to be. Right?
Yeah, it seems like he likes the guy,
because he knows he's trying to help, right?
Yeah, but I think it kind of sees him as an outsider in this incident, and it's like you're not really directly involved. Yeah, you're trying to help, but it's like, at the same time, it's like he's not going to just brutally kill him. I mean, just because he doesn't really know him. Everybody he's killed up to this point is like pretty much people he's known or just people that get in his way. With Core, the guy the writer, he's not really doing either. So I don't know.
Sure. It was just interesting that he
spared
spared.
him.
He's the only person he spared.
Right.
Yeah. And you're trying to like make the connections between like the wolf pack and his relationship, because as he comes stumbling out of this cave, about to die, some locals find him. But before that, like all these wolves are gathering around him. Like they're starting to like, oh, they smell the blood. And he can see all these wolves up on the rim. And you kind of think like, how ironic is the guy who protects and loves wolves his whole life's about to get eaten by him.
Yeah.
But they don't. They let him be. And that's what the locals tell him is like, hey, they spared you. We don't know why, but they spared you.
Yeah.
And it's probably because he was standing with the gun with him earlier and he did the same kind of thing. Which is what you're kind of talking about, the foreshadowing of it.
Yes. Well, just when they're eating the kid, and there's something we talked about like called savaging, where people like kill their children.
Yeah, to survive.
Yeah, and that's what like pigs do, and then that's kind of what the movie's about with these kids being killed. They're just driven nuts, pretty much. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it kind of just wraps up from there, and I mean the husband and wife go and dig up the kid in his grave, and they tie some rope to it and just start walking out to the woods.
Yep.
And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
But
good movie though. I mean, it's kind of, that's it. It's pretty simple. It's very deceptive in terms of what it presents to you, but very unique.
Sure.
Very unique. Yeah, the guy who wrote it, he's written some other stuff I've never really heard about, but he did do a good movie that's on, another movie I want to recommend. It's on Netflix. It's called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It's with Elijah Wood and Melanie Linsky, who was in Castle Rock. And that's another movie where it's like, it totally throws you for a loop, and it's like, whoa, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. So if you like Hold the Dark, check out that one. I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, and it's also on Netflix.
I've heard of it. I just haven't watched it yet, but
Yeah,
it's worth
I
checking
liked
out.
it. Yeah, it's really crazy. It's just for like her performance is good, and then also Elijah Wood. You know, he's been kind of more of a creepy guy in a lot of the stuff he does, so he's definitely doing that.
Yeah, he's getting that Paul Dano creepy element to him.
Totally, yeah. And before he was just Frodo, you know. And now it's like
not anymore. Frodo's grown up.
Yeah, kind of weird. So
yeah, this movie got like a 5.7 on IMDb, which I thought was kind of BS.
Yeah,
because it was made very well and it was acted very well and it had a unique story to it. But it I don't know.
I liked it.
I think a lot of people didn't quite understand the movie.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people too, like, it almost seems like people feel cheated, you know, when they go see these movies and they're like, wait a minute, that's not what it said it was going to be about, and that's why it sucks. And it's like, well, no, it's like a movie is supposed to take you on some kind of, like a book, on some kind of a, you know, existential type of journey, and you just have to kind of go with it, you know, and just because it says it's about a guy hunting wolves doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be about that. That's actually what makes it better than what it says.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
It was just, I mean, and I walked in there thinking that too. I'm like, oh yeah, I like The Gray a lot. It's a good movie. You know, just kind of a mindless William Neeson movie. And then you got this movie, like, I like wolves. It's like, let's give it a shot. And then it's like, you know, 30 minutes in, you're like, this is not what it said it's about. Let's keep going though and see what happens next. And that's kind of, you know, that's where you get pulled into it, and that's what's great.
Absolutely.
About it. You know, so I think when you I think a lot of these kind of movies, they're not really going to be big draws, and if it came out in the theater, it probably would have bombed, unfortunately. But that's okay. I mean,
it's more simple. I don't see it as like a theatrical type of movie because it does pull a fast one on the plot and the direction and what it's really about.
Yeah,
there isn't a huge cast. It's great locations and great acting. The violence feels authentic, but it's very simple as far as its plot and the progression of that plot. And so that's where I kind of see Netflix is they're finding these good, like what it seems like it's a short story made into a movie. And a lot of their movies that I think are very successful kind of follow that same path a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when they get like maybe a little bit more long-winded, like Mute was, which is another Skarsgård movie, that's where you kind of feel like the plot was a little bit too much. You could see that it's not clean enough for a theatrical release. It does work well on Netflix, but you could have tightened it up a bit. So these types of movies I think are perfect for a digital, and I think it's perfect for Netflix. It does very well. So I really enjoyed it just because it was something unique and different and was super creepy, which is hard to do. Hard to do, at least for me. I'm a big critic of movies that deal with like darkness and stuff like that, because a lot of times it's like horror and darkness just for the sake of it, but it doesn't really tap into that weird primal side of things. I don't know.
The psychological aspect.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of miss the boat often.
Yeah.
Well, all right, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to talk about it.
Good dissection there.
Yeah. So anyway, if you have seen it, share your thoughts. We clearly had a lot of fun and enjoyed this one. And outside of that, come back next week. We're going to be talking about more scary movies and Halloween type movies. So that'll do it for us, folks. Stay connected at the Harsch Review over at all the social places. And we're just glad you're here. In the meantime, my name is Sean.
And I'm Ryan.
You guys have a good one.
Bye.